Hello there everyone, welcome to the channel if you're new, welcome back if you aren't, I am EDJ, and we are going to now be starting a new series about Basil II from History March. At the time this comes out it should be Saturday, and by tomorrow will be the start of for Sundays, my Otto von Bismarck series for Extra History TV. I'm uploading every day of the week. I've been I've been doing so since since basically late May, around May 30ish. The last week of May all the way through June, and now right now it's July the 3rd. So just overall for Mondays through Fridays I've got videos already done for all those days until the end of this year, and Saturdays and Sundays were the only free room I have, so I decided to open new fronts. And I probably should take a break, but the thing is I don't want to. Like, I was actually not planning on doing any more reactions. I'm like, Mondays through Fridays are all covered for the rest of the year. I can take the rest of the year off of YouTube now. But then I saw people were recommending stuff, and I'm like, oh man, but I'm kind of restless. I guess I'll do more reactions. Why not? I love this, by the way. I have like a weird obsession with just watching, and I'm like, I need to post more. I feel like if there's anything I have in common with the great men of old, from Alexander to Napoleon and whatnot, kind of a restless, ambitious spirit, if anything else. Well, those guys were conquering the world. I'm just watching YouTube videos. But either way, it's the principle that counts. So I'm sorry I'm going on that long tangent. Point is, so Basil, when we were watching the Byzantine series by Dova Hadi all those many months ago, I had commented, I think, on the last video of that series before it, ended abruptly, that I had made a comparison to one of the, emperors, comparing him to Gallienus. And then someone took exception to that comparison and was like, no, actually, and then like proceeded to like make this long comment and then like kind of talk about there's more Byzantine emperors that are great that follow, and Basil II was name dropped, and I'm like, I don't know who the heck Basil II is. To be fair, I don't really know any Byzantine emperors outside of Justinian, and that's it. The history of the Eastern Roman Empire is very much basically a mystery to me. But I'm like, but as I've mentioned this on and off, some people are like, hey, you should just watch and learn about Basil. And I'm like, alright, sure, I might as well expand my knowledge on the Byzantines and learn about what all this hype is about this Basil guy who keeps getting name dropped every once in a while in my videos. So yeah, we're gonna be learning about Basil. And like I said, I'm coming into this from a place of not knowing anything about him or his accomplishments. So this will be very much, yeah, me learning. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna jump right into it. If you wanna watch the original video, the link is always down below in the description. And without any further ado, we ought to get right into it, shall we? Let's learn about Basil II, the Bulgar Slayer, and the Battle of the Gates of Trajan.
The mid-900s saw a period of remarkably peaceful relations between the two major powers of the Balkan Peninsula, the Byzantine Empire and the traditionally hostile Bulgarian Empire. This stood in stark contrast to the beginning of the 10th century, as a war raged between Bulgaria and Eastern Rome that spanned over a decade and saw the former dominate the latter. In the aftermath of this clash, the Bulgarian Empire enjoyed the status of undisputed master of southeastern Europe. Yet, as the century progressed, the balance of power gradually began to shift back towards Byzantium. The Eastern Roman Empire, essentially reduced to its Asian provinces, was still a significant power in the Mediterranean world. With that in mind, the successors of Augustus and Constantine were fixated on reclaiming the lost imperial lands. Such a revival, however, would be no mean feat, with several serious obstacles standing between the Byzantines and their former glory. But then, a certain young boy by the name of Basil II was crowned emperor. I guess you're here because you want to learn about history, but
Okay, Basil, I've heard a lot about you, bro. I hope you live up to the hype, my friend.
In 963, Emperor Romanus II passed away at age 26, leaving his two sons, both under the age of 5, as his only successors. These young boys, the future emperors Basil II and his brother Constantine VIII, were crowned just before the death of their father, but were too young to rule. Their mother, Theophano, a low-born but brilliant and shrewd woman, was intent on securing the unstable position of her family. As one may expect, this was no easy task. Ambitious members of the Anatolian aristocracy were waiting for an opportune moment to usurp the throne. Eunuchs and other conspiring court members sought to pull the strings of government. To secure her position, the imperial widow searched for a suitable groom. And she soon found one in Nicephorus Phocas, a brilliant Anatolian general who had just finished the reconquest of the Muslim emirate of Crete. Now the senior emperor, after his marriage to Theophano, Nicephorus would go on to have a particularly successful reign. At first, however, the emperor failed to prevent the Fatimid conquests of the final Byzantine outposts on Sicily and led an inconclusive war in southern Italy against Holy Roman Emperor Otto I. These minor setbacks would be soon forgotten after Nicephorus's victories against the Syrian Hamdanid dynasty and the recovery of the crucial region of Cilicia after a series of successful campaigns. It was around 966, in the aftermath of these gains, that Bulgarian envoys arrived in Constantinople. Since 927, the Bulgarian Empire had been ruled by Tsar Peter, who ushered in a 4-decade-long peace between his state and Byzantium. As part of this peace, the Romans were obliged to pay an annual tribute to the Bulgarians, who in return would prevent Hungarian and other nomadic tribes from using Bulgaria as a staging ground to raid Byzantine territory. However, exhausted by decades of dry weather and the demanding campaigns of Peter's predecessor, Bulgaria failed to uphold this promise. Additionally, Peter may have condoned the raids in retaliation for Byzantine support for Serbia in their ongoing conflict with Bulgaria. Therefore, when Peter's envoys arrived at Constantinople in 966, Emperor Nicephorus had them beaten and sent back empty-handed to the Bulgarian capital of Preslav. Confident after his success in the east, the Roman emperor began to shift his attention back to the Balkans. However, instead of dirtying his own hands, Nicephorus sent envoys and lavish gifts to Kiev, the capital of the Rus. Having just destroyed the Khazar Khaganate, the Prince of Kiev, Svetoslav, responded enthusiastically to this proposal of a combined invasion of Bulgaria. In 968, he landed near the Danube Delta with an army of around 60,000 men. In mere months, the Kievan prince annihilated all Bulgarian forces he came into contact with and captured as many as 80 fortresses in the east of the country. Nicephorus was alarmed by the speed with which the Rus defeated Bulgaria and began to doubt the intentions of Svetoslav. That same year, he negotiated a separate peace with Tsar Peter who sent his young sons Boris and Roman to Constantinople as negotiators and honorary hostages. Soon after, the Byzantine emperor bribed the nomadic Pechenegs to attack Kiev. This was initially successful, as the Rus prince...
Okay, so Nicephorus? I said Nicephorus? Gotta be careful, I almost slipped there. Nicephorus. Oh dear. Okay, so yeah, so the emperor here, wait. Nicephorus? Nicephorus? Wait, how's he saying
Noble as negotiators and honorary hostages. Soon after, the Byzantine emperor bribed as negotiator who did a separate peace with and began to doubt the intentions of Svetoslav. That same year, he negotiated.
Yeah,
Nicephorus was alarmed by
Nicephorus. Nicephorus? Okay. So, Nicephorus, okay, I'm gonna call him Nicky, if that's cool with everyone. So, Nicky is basically giving money, just throwing his money around to make everyone fight each other, which is kind of hilarious. I kind of like that strategy there. Yeah, I'm really liking that strategy there, but boy, it seems like, let's see how it plays
to
out.
lift the siege. However, much to the displeasure of both Bulgarians and Romans, Svetoslav returned the following summer, intending to subdue all eastern Bulgaria. At this critical junction, Tsar Peter died from a stroke and was succeeded by his son Boris II, who had just returned from Constantinople. These were tumultuous times in Byzantium as well. In December 969, Nicephorus was murdered in his sleep as part of a conspiracy organized by Empress Tiaphano and the emperor's nephew John Tzimiskes, who then assumed the throne. The new emperor had no intentions of sending aid to Bulgaria in their renewed conflict with the Rus. Furthermore, John's ascension immediately sparked a revolt in Caesarea, led by another nephew of Nicephorus, a man named Bardas Phokas. Realizing his desperate situation, the new Bulgarian Tsar Boris successfully allied himself to his former enemy, Svetoslav. In 970, a massive Russo-Bulgarian force crossed the Balkan Mountains, conquered Philippopolis, and headed towards Constantinople. In the meantime, John Tzimiskes had sent his trusted general of the East, Bardas Skleros, to deal with the rebellion of Bardas Phokas. After swiftly putting down the revolt in Anatolia, Skleros was sent to Thrace to intercept the Russo-Bulgarian army. By March 970, the Slavic force had reached the town of Arkadiopolis, where they were met and annihilated by Bardas Skleros. Tzimiskes organized an expedition to expel the Rus from the Balkans the following year. In 971, the Byzantines crossed into Moesia, capturing the Bulgarian capital and the major fortress of Dorostolon, and finally forced Svetoslav and his army to leave for good. Following this victory, John transformed the former Bulgarian heartland of Moesia into a Byzantine province, capturing Tsar Boris and proclaiming the country annexed. Yet resistance was beginning to mount in the western half of the once strong Bulgarian Empire. Preoccupied with his two famous invasions of Syria, Tzimiskes neglected to put any effort into securing the still independent western half of Bulgaria. Four relatives of Tsar Boris, the brothers David, Moses, Aaron, and Samuel, organized local resistance. From 976 onwards, with their base at Sredets, the brothers would launch raids and capture many Byzantine forts in Greece and Macedonia. However, the two elder brothers, David and Moses, died as soon as 977. Moses was struck by a stone while he besieged Ceres, whilst David was murdered by hired thugs. In the meantime, John Zimisces passed away in 976 on his return journey from a victorious campaign in Syria. Finally, the firstborn son of the old Emperor Romanus, Basil II, who was now of age, could rule as senior emperor. However, for the first 10 years of his reign...
Okay, so that was a lot of information. So yes, we're basically covering the constant, shifting position here on the Western Front. Mainly from Bulgaria, the Rus, just in and out. But so far the Byzantines, or the Romans, are doing pretty well. They've taken this, but now another issue, so... Yeah, now that we've kind of gotten the situation explained that Basil has inherited, it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with it, because it seems like here on the Western Front is where most of his time is going to have to be devoted to so far.
Much of the decision-making fell to Basil's eunuch uncle, Basil Lacapenus. Their hold on power was immediately challenged as the victor of Arcadiopolis, General Bardas Skleros, was proclaimed emperor by his forces in Anatolia. To counter the rebellion, Lacapenus recalled Bardas Phocas from exile, who had previously been defeated by Skleros during his revolt against Emperor Zimisces. After losing the first two engagements against Skleros, Bardas Phocas finally defeated the pretender in 979, forcing him to seek refuge in Baghdad. In the meantime, the remaining leaders of the Bulgarian resistance, Aaron and Samuel, managed to expand their control in Greece and Macedonia. In 983, Samuel captured Larissa, the main city of Thessaly, and one of the most strategically important Byzantine strongholds in the Balkans. The Romans reacted sluggishly as tensions between the young emperor, his eunuch co-ruler, and the victorious Bardas Phocas reached boiling point. After accusing him of conspiring with Phocas, Basil II removed his uncle from power in 985. Now, finally, the sole ruler in Constantinople, the young and ambitious emperor knew that he had to prove himself as a capable commander if he was to maintain his position. And so, Basil assembled an army of 25,000 and prepared for an invasion of western Bulgaria, planning to strike straight at the heart of the country by capturing the new capital of Sredets. Before beginning the siege...
Okay, very ambitious plan by Basil II, going straight for the capital, which would instantly be a crushing blow to the enemy. And yes, his situation politically is, I guess you could say, unstable, or there's a potential for disaster. Precarious, I think is the word I'd use, because yes, he outed his uncle, but as you know with the Romans, they do sure love turning on each other and basically be thorns in each other's side. So yes, he needs to basically prove his strength through conquest and battle, show himself as not weak and actually good for Rome, and yeah, I guess we'll see what he can do, won't we?
Siege, the Byzantine emperor sought to divide his opposition through diplomacy and guile. Basil offered Aaron, who then controlled Sredets, his sister's hand in marriage. Realizing that the support of the Roman emperor could help him gain control over Bulgaria and depose his ambitious brother Samuel, Aaron accepted Basil's offer. Yet, instead of sending his actual sister, Anna, Basil sent the wife of an official disguised as the Byzantine princess.
Nice. Okay, so Basil's showing some cunning right here, and a little deviousness, but that's kind of funny that he do that. And man, everyone just sure does love turning on each other, don't they? Like, yeah, everyone, even brothers and family, just everyone's against each other. It's kind of amazing. It's just like, just how, especially like during this time, and like, like, just how unsafe and anxiety slash paranoia inducing being in charge of anything was, because it seems like you're never fully safe and there's everyone trying to take you out, whether it be family or allies. Everyone's always plotting, so it just seems like it would be incredibly like paranoia inducing and very hard to trust anyone, you know.
Eventually, Aaron uncovered the truth, and, in an outburst of fury, burnt alive the Byzantine bishop accompanying the woman. It is worth noting that the occurrence of this incident is contested, with some sources instead suggesting that it was the elder Basil, Lecapenus, who instigated the plot in 976, after which Samuel had Aaron and most of his family executed. In any case, conflict was now inevitable, and Basil's army began its march towards Sredets early in the summer of 986. By July, Basil neared the border where he captured the fortress of Stenos, which guarded a narrow mountain pass known as Trajan's Gates. This fortress was a crucial checkpoint that connected Sredets to Philippopolis. By the end of the month, the Byzantines reached Sredets and constructed a fortified camp. Located in the town, Aaron and his garrison had no intention to surrender. The Bulgarians had evacuated all livestock from the region and employed scorched earth tactics to try and starve the Byzantines into a withdrawal. Furthermore, Bulgarian garrisons stationed at the local Boyana and Urvic strongholds began to intercept and destroy Byzantine reconnaissance parties. The siege dragged on for 20 days. In the evenings, the defenders would sally forth from Sredets and harass the Byzantine forces close to their camp. In one instance, the Bulgarians successfully burned down most of the Roman siege equipment. Hungry, tired, and running out of supplies, Basil began considering a withdrawal to Philippopolis. This course of action became even more appealing when news of an approaching relief force led by Samuel reached the Byzantine camp. However, before Basil could even begin the retreat, the Byzantine garrison stationed at Trajan's Gates abandoned their positions and returned to Philippopolis, leaving the main force in grave danger. Samuel quickly learned of this and took position around the northern, western, and southern mountain slopes around the pass. News of a Bulgarian ambush began spreading panic among the Byzantine army. To make matters worse, Basil's officers had convinced the emperor that Leo Melisinos, the commander of the garrison that had pulled back to Philippopolis, was heading for Constantinople to claim the throne. This forced Basil to order a quick march, leading to a disorganized and poorly planned retreat. By August 16,
yeah, so the siege did not go well at all, and now it seems like he's walking into an ambush. Not a good showing so far, Basil, but let's see what you can do.
The Byzantine army entered the narrow pass, where Samuel's men had taken position. Stretched into a long column, Basil's army was comprised of a cavalry vanguard and the infantry located in the rear, while the emperor, guarded by an elite unit of Armenian footmen, was situated in the center of the column. Basil decided to spend the night within the pass, much like the Byzantine army that suffered a crushing defeat near Varbitsa in 811, which we covered in a previous video. Repeating the failures of the past would prove to be a massive error. Samuel had already positioned his 10,000-strong army on the mountain slopes and surrounded the Romans on 3 sides. Just before dawn, he sounded the attack. The Byzantines were caught off guard, and their organization quickly began to melt away under the onslaught. Whilst Basil's elite guard put up a strong resistance, the regular Byzantine infantry in the rear suffered severe losses. Further ahead in the valley, the Roman cavalry was still standing its ground. However, in time, its formation also began to disintegrate. Realizing that they and their emperor were in grave danger, Basil's Armenian infantry began pushing towards a small forested road. Stuck in the melee, the Armenians began aggressively cutting down everyone in their way, including their own allies, eventually making their way to the nearby passage. As Basil fled toward Philippopolis, the Byzantine infantry was massacred by Samuel's men. Whilst some of the cavalry successfully fled the battlefield, most suffered the same fate as the Byzantine foot, ending the engagement in a decisive Bulgarian victory.
Dang, dude, Basil got jumped, essentially. Yeah, so the siege did not go well. So far, his enemies have been doing very well. The scorched earth tactic that was previously mentioned during the siege worked out very well. You know, they managed to destroy his equipment. So, and the rumors of Leo basically abandoning Basil also played a part, you know. So, yeah, Basil seemed to be let down by that. Also, yeah, his enemies are not incompetent. They actually know what they're doing and actually got the jump and have basically driven him off twice through siege and now through an ambush. So, man, how's Basil going to come back from this?
Basil had barely escaped death. The following year, he would have to deal with another revolt initiated by Bardas Phokas and a resurgent Bardas Skleros. Upon learning of his brother's attempted betrayal, Samuel ordered his execution. Now the sole ruler of Bulgaria, and with Basil weakened and busy on the domestic front, Samuel vastly expanded Bulgaria, reconquering Moesia together with the former capital of Preslav. Yet Emperor Basil II was a resilient ruler, and in time, the Macedonian emperor would prove that the battle at Trajan's gates had only delayed his designs. His 4-decade would see Byzantium reach its greatest territorial extent in 4 centuries, and his victories in future campaigns would earn Basil II the nickname Bulgar Slayer.
Alright, not the strongest opening, but that's fine, because we're about to see a great comeback, I'm certain. Because I've heard a lot of hype, and after that closing, we're about to see Basil strike back, and no doubt be very impressive. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's capable of, you know, and see how he jumps back from that defeat.
If you stayed around this far, don't forget to also support us on Patreon.
Okay, so yes, I'm gonna end the video right here, guys. Overall, that was very interesting. You know, the first part of all these series are always intros, or, well, obviously, but like origin stories to these people. So it's good to know the situation Basil was raised up in. And, you know, we saw things did not go well in his ambitious plan to defeat his enemies. But that's fine. Basil, you know, everyone has their losses. I'm really looking forward to seeing Basil jump back up, and definitely looking forward to see the hype that is surrounding this man. So yes, I will be jumping forward to the next video. I will see you all then. Bye everyone.